Algeria is often mentioned as a country in North Africa, but that simple label hides the scale of what it really is. It is the largest country on the African continent and the 10th largest country in the world. Its territory stretches from the Mediterranean coast deep into the Sahara, covering more than 2.3 million square kilometers. Yet most Algerians do not live across that vast desert interior. They are concentrated in the more fertile north, especially around the coast, mountains, and major cities such as Algiers. This contrast is one of the keys to understanding Algeria, a country with enormous land area, but a population shaped by a narrow band of livable territory. It sits between Africa, the Arab world, the Mediterranean, and Europe, making it far more than a desert nation on a map. Geographically, Algeria is a meeting point. To the north, it faces the Mediterranean Sea, with historic routes connecting it to Spain, France, Italy, and the wider European world. To the east are Tunisia and Libya. To the south and southeast lie Niger and Mali, linking Algeria to the Sahel. To the west are Morocco, Mauritania, and Western Sahara. This position has made Algeria both a frontier and a bridge. Its northern mountains and coastal plains have long supported cities, agriculture, ports, and trade. Its southern Sahara, by contrast, is immense, harsh, and sparsely populated, but rich in strategic depth and natural resources. Algeria's geography explains many of its political instincts. It looks north to the Mediterranean, south to Africa, east and west across the Maghreb, and outward into global energy markets. Long before modern Algeria existed, the region was home to indigenous Amazigh societies, often known historically as Berbers. Among the most important were the Numidians, who built one of the earliest major states in the area. Their world was not isolated. Phoenician traders established coastal connections, Rome expanded across North Africa, and later Vandals and Byzantines left their own marks. This layered history matters because Algeria was never a blank space waiting to be defined by outsiders. It had local kingdoms, languages, identities, and political traditions before later empires arrived. The Amazigh Foundation remains central to Algerian identity today, even though the country is also deeply shaped by Arab and Islamic culture. Algeria's story begins with this mix, indigenous continuity combined with centuries of outside contact, trade, conquest, and adaptation. From the 7th century onward, Islam spread across North Africa, gradually reshaping the region's religious, linguistic, and cultural life. Arab tribes arrived over time, and Arabic became deeply embedded in daily life, religion, literature, and governance. But the change was not simply a replacement of one identity by another. Algeria developed through a fusion of Arab Islamic and Amazigh heritage. Between the 8th and 15th centuries, a series of Islamic dynasties ruled different parts of the territory, including the Rustamids, Fatimids, Zirids, Hamidids, Almohads, and Zayyanids. These states connected Algeria to wider networks stretching across the Maghreb, the Sahara, and the Islamic world. The result was a society where faith, language, tribal structures, cities, trade routes, and mountain communities all contributed to a distinct Algerian cultural landscape. In 1516, the Regency of Algiers was established, marking a new phase in Algeria's Mediterranean role. Although it owed nominal allegiance to the Ottoman Empire, it gradually became largely autonomous. For nearly 3 centuries, Algiers was a major power in the Mediterranean. Its ports, fleets, diplomacy, and military presence made it a significant actor in the politics of the sea. This period is important because it shows that Algeria was not only a land of tribes or desert routes, it was also a maritime power with influence far beyond its borders. Its relationship with the Ottoman world gave it protection and prestige, while its autonomy allowed local rulers to shape their own interests. By the early 19th century, however, this order was vulnerable to the expanding ambitions of European imperial powers. France invaded Algeria in 1830, beginning one of the most consequential and violent chapters in the country's history. What followed was not a quick occupation, but a long conquest. France formally annexed Algeria in 1848, yet full military pacification was not completed until 1903. Colonization brought large-scale European settlement, land seizures, and the displacement of local communities. Indigenous Algerians suffered catastrophic losses through warfare, disease, starvation, and social breakdown. By the mid-19th century, their population had declined dramatically. French rule also created a legal and political hierarchy in which European settlers enjoyed privileges denied to most Algerians. Algeria was not treated merely as a distant colony, it became deeply integrated into French imperial identity, making the struggle over sovereignty especially bitter and long-lasting. Resistance to French rule began almost immediately. Emir Abdelkader became one of the great early figures of Algerian resistance, organizing military and political opposition in the 19th century. Later uprisings, including the Mauritania Revolt, showed that colonial control was never accepted passively. Over time, resistance changed form. Armed campaigns, rural revolts, religious networks, political organizing, and nationalist movements all became part of the struggle. By the 20th century, Algerian nationalism was increasingly shaped by demands for dignity, representation, equality, and eventually independence. One turning point came in 1945 with the Sétif and Guelma massacre, when French repression after demonstrations killed many Algerians and convinced a growing number that reform within the colonial system was impossible. The path toward war had become much harder to avoid. The Algerian War began in 1954 and became one of the defining anti-colonial conflicts of the 20th century. It was fought not only on battlefields, but in villages, cities, prisons, diplomatic forums, and public opinion. The war involved guerrilla warfare, harsh counterinsurgency, torture, terrorism, forced displacement, and deep divisions within both Algerian and French society. For Algeria, independence was tied to sacrifice and national identity. For France, the war shook the foundations of the state and helped bring down the Fourth Republic. When Algeria finally gained independence in 1962, it emerged with enormous symbolic power across Africa and the Arab world. But independence also came after immense trauma. The new country had to build institutions, define its economy, and unite a society marked by colonial violence and revolutionary struggle. Modern Algeria is shaped by language, religion, and identity in complex ways. Arabic and Tamazight are official languages, reflecting both the Arab-Islamic and Amazigh foundations of the country. In everyday life, many people speak Algerian Arabic, a dialect influenced by history, region, and contact with other languages. French remains widely used in media, education, business, and some administrative contexts, even though it has no official status. Religion is also central. Sunni Islam is the official religion and is practiced by the overwhelming majority of the population. At the same time, Algeria's identity cannot be reduced to a single label. Many Algerians identify as Arabs, while Amazigh communities remain a significant part of national life. The country's culture is a product of coexistence, tension, memory, and adaptation. Politically, Algeria is a semi-presidential republic divided into provinces called wilayas and thousands of communes. But its modern political life has been deeply shaped by the legacy of the independence movement, the role of the military, and the pressures of security. One of the most painful episodes after independence was the civil war from 1992 to 2002. It followed a political crisis and became a brutal conflict that left deep scars on Algerian society. The country remained under an official state of emergency until the period of unrest around the Arab Spring protests. This history helps explain Algeria's cautious political culture. Stability, sovereignty, and security are not abstract ideas there, they are tied to memories of colonial domination, revolutionary war, and internal conflict. Algeria's economy and global importance are closely tied to petroleum and natural gas. The country has some of the largest natural gas reserves in the world and significant oil reserves as well. Sonatrach, the national oil company, is the largest company in Africa and one of the key institutions in the Algerian state. Energy exports give Algeria influence, especially with Europe, which has long looked to North Africa as a source of gas. These resources have helped Algeria become one of Africa's largest economies and, as of 2025, the country with the highest Human Development Index in continental Africa. But dependence on hydrocarbons also creates vulnerability. When energy prices rise, Algeria gains revenue and leverage. When they fall, economic pressure grows, making diversification a long-term challenge. Today, Algeria is a regional power in North Africa and a middle power in global affairs. It has the largest military budget in Africa and belongs to organizations including the African Union, Arab League, OIC, OPEC, United Nations, and Arab Maghreb Union. Its identity is built from desert and coast, Amazigh roots and Arab Islamic culture, Ottoman-era autonomy and French colonial trauma, revolutionary pride and modern energy wealth. Understanding Algeria means seeing these layers together. It is not just the largest country in Africa by land area. It is a country whose geography gives it scale, whose history gives it political sensitivity, and whose resources give it strategic weight. Algeria's story is ultimately about how a crossroads became a state with a powerful memory and a significant place in the world. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.